You ever throw a backyard party so good the cops show up and stay for the barbecue? Yeah, that was my Saturday. Let me take you back. So I live in a quiet cul-de-sac in Redwood Springs, a place where the grass is always cut, the mailboxes match, and the HOA has more power than the local government. My wife, Denise, is a tactical training officer for the county police. Calm, precise, sharp as a tack. Me? I run a digital marketing firm from home and grill like it's an Olympic sport. We decided to throw a small weekend cookout. Nothing wild, just family, neighbors, a little music, and ribs that would make a grown man cry. Everything was perfect. Kids were tossing bean bags, someone set up horseshoes, and our golden retriever, Tucker, was walking around in sunglasses like a party mascot. That's when she showed up. 3 houses down lives Brenda. Short, stiff, and always holding a clipboard like it's a scepter. Brenda is one of those people who thinks the HOA rules are commandments passed down from the mountaintop. But here's the twist. She's not just a member. She's the acting head of the HOA Enforcement Subcommittee, a title she gave herself after the last guy moved out from what I now realize was sheer emotional exhaustion. Now, Brenda's had a personal vendetta against us for months. Why? Well, last fall, Denise openly challenged the HOA's plan to sell part of the community park to a private landscaping company, one Brenda's cousin just so happened to own. Things got heated. Denise shut the plan down in front of everyone. Since then, Brenda's been out for blood, or at least noise violations. She showed up at our party like she was leading a one-woman raid, marched right up the driveway in her orthopedic sandals, ignoring everyone's greetings. First words out of her mouth, "Do you have a permit for amplified sound in a residential zone?" I swear I thought she was kidding. I laughed. Wrong move. Her lips pressed so tight. You'd think she was trying to seal her own mouth shut. Then she whipped out this retractable tape measure. I'm not making this up. And started measuring the distance from our speaker to the sidewalk. Denise, ever the peacemaker, walked over with a plate of BBQ skewers and said, "Brenda, it's a small gathering. You're welcome to join." Brenda looked at that chicken skewer like Denise had offered her a live grenade. She sniffed, snapped, "This is a neighborhood, not a food court," and stormed off like she just filed a mental lawsuit. 10 minutes later, I spotted her in her upstairs window, phone to her ear, glaring like we'd summoned demons in her hydrangeas. Denise leaned over and said, "She's calling the cops?" I laughed. "Let her. Half of them are our friends." She raised an eyebrow. "Think she knows that?" I smiled. Not a clue. 15 minutes later, sirens. 3 squad cars pulled right into our driveway, lights flashing. The music stopped. Drinks paused, mid-sip. Brenda was in her window, practically doing a victory dance, and then the door of the lead car opened. Out stepped Sergeant Mallory James, a woman Denise had trained for 6 years straight. Mallory gave Denise a full salute and said, "Ma'am, we received reports of a tactical chili cook-off. Is that true?" Laughter broke out. Mallory high-fived my cousin, grabbed a plate of ribs, and started judging our cornhole game. Brenda's face. She looked like someone had just told her Diet Coke causes aging. Turns out, this wasn't Brenda's first rodeo. Officer James pulled me aside and said, "She's called us 3 times in 2 months. Last time it was about someone's Halloween decorations being satanic. It was a garden witch. Now, you'd think that would be the end of it. But Brenda's not just annoying, she's strategic." 3 days later, I get an email from the city zoning department. Apparently, someone, guess who, filed a formal complaint accusing us of running an unlicensed commercial event venue out of our backyard. At first, I laughed. Then Denise read the email and said, "She's escalating." So we decided to fight back. Not with yelling, not with threats, with paperwork. Over the next 48 hours, we built what I now call the Brenda file. Every bogus complaint she'd filed against us and other neighbors. Photos, copies, dates, responses. One neighbor got fined $250 because their wind chime disrupted bird migration. Another was cited because her patio lights were visible from the street after 10 p.m. Denise called in a few favors from city staff she'd trained. They all knew Brenda by name. One clerk called her the Maplewood Menace. Another said, "She's not on an official watch list, but maybe she should be." When the inspector finally came to our house, he was polite, said he had to check things out. Denise handed him the binder. He flipped through 5 pages and said, "Well, this is going nowhere." Then, with a wink, added, "Tell Brenda thanks for the extra reading material." And that should have been it. But Brenda had one more move left in her HOA playbook. Divide and conquer. She started whispering rumors. Told people Denise was manipulating the police, that we were military infiltrators, and that grilling outdoors was chemical warfare. Then she started patrolling the sidewalks with a GoPro and motion sensor lights. It was like living next to a low-budget spy movie. Until she went too far, one Tuesday morning, Brenda stormed over to Officer Kent's house, 2 doors down while he was cleaning his garage. Started accusing him of being part of Denise's paramilitary backyard faction. Then get this, she pulled out pepper spray. Before she could raise it, Kent calmly took it from her and placed her under a citizen's arrest for threatening a public servant. Doorbell cam caught the whole thing. Within hours, it was in the hands of the police department and the HOA board. Brenda was cited for intimidation and misuse of emergency services. And just like that, the tide turned. Denise submitted an updated report, complete with footage, to the HOA. At their next meeting, the board voted unanimously to revoke Brenda's committee privileges. From now on, any complaint she submits must go through legal review first. No more weaponizing the system. No more silent fear. To celebrate, we threw one more party. The entire neighborhood came. Even the officers. Off duty, of course. There was music, sparklers, grilled corn, laughter, and peace. And Brenda? She stood behind her curtain for a while. Then, surprisingly, she walked over. No clipboard, no camera, just crossed arms and a tight face. She mumbled something to Denise about maybe going too far. Denise nodded once and said something. I didn't catch it, but whatever it was, Brenda turned and walked away. That was the last we saw of her. She didn't show up in any community groups. Her cameras went dark. Her house just stopped watching. That night, under the string lights, sipping lemonade, Denise looked at me and said, I didn't want revenge. I just wanted resolution. And I think that's what we all wanted. Not to win, just to stop losing. So now I've got a question for you. Have you ever had to deal with an HOA nightmare? Or maybe a neighbor who thought they were the sheriff of suburbia? Drop your story or your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear how your neighborhood handles power trips like Brenda. And hey, don't forget to like, subscribe, and keep your grill hot. You never know when the next backyard battle might begin.